carol program. The song is a little funny, so that at some point you take down the names, you take the names that we will call for, or maybe something like that. And make a game ready, make a bouquet to might happen again. So that for our December 15th program, December 22nd is the Sinhala program, Sinhala service. So this congregation also must invite for the Sinhala, because though we are English speaking, since we are not Britishers, we may have relatives and friends and neighbors who may speak Sinhala mostly. So Sinhala program is December 22nd. We have tickets. So when you write down names for both. Especially Sinhala educated people, isn't it? Teachers, nurses, doctors, lawyers. There are lots of doctors and lawyers who preferably speak Sinhala. Country has changed. That's part of the trouble that is going on. Is there's a lot of Sinhala intelligence who think completely the opposite of the English intelligence. It's like two worlds in conflict. So since our Sinhala ministry is very geared for Sinhala intelligentsia, please take time to take the Sinhala tickets also. So that today our time will be a strong push for our 15th and 22nd, because it's our main thrust for evangelism. Just lead us. salvation and how to witness to whom you know and not saved. That's how you pray for this. Pray for salvation and how to witness to whom you know and are not saved. This is what praying for the nation is. Alright? Tell your neighbor, Parliament will look after itself. Christians are in endless distractions without keep the main thing as the main thing. Okay, Parliament will look after itself. Supreme Court is well looked after. You look after the contacts that you need to bring to Christ. Got the point? Otherwise, Christians get any distraction. Christians have ADHD on this, attention deficit on bringing their loved ones to Christ. And they get involved in any distractions. They pray, click. So many clips are coming. How to pray, what happened in the parliament, whether the Bible went flying or the legislative enactments went flying. Ridiculous, isn't it? Any trouble out there, Christians are actually in ADHD is that you have a kinesthetic overdrive, a acoustic overdrive, and a visual overdrive, and more than normal people, Christians are in this overdrive. Surendra, you look very guilty today, as if you have been. He's my classmate, so I can. So please, this is what you should concentrate on. Whatever goes on outside, one more time tell yourself, Parliament will look after itself. Supreme Court is well looked after. There's a God-fearing, excellent gentleman who has stood the test of, he's just appointed here. Now you please look after your ICOS and connect your energies and concentrate your energies on getting your ICOS, those who are near, 5 near people and 5 not so near people, and 5 more similar speaking people. That should be difficult. If you say, I don't have any 5 not so near people, just go to food city. And it immediately meet 5 not so near. I have sold 10 tickets this week. I give myself that. So please get on to it. This is actually how nations change. One soul at a time, nations change. This is transformation. One life at a time changing is transformation. Praying for the nation is go evangelize, witness, lay hands and pray for healing to happen, and then soul to be saved. That is how nations change. Please don't do this high-flying prayers of, nation, we want to take the throne and we want to speak that seat under the Lordship of Jesus Christ. Those things don't happen. Lordship of Jesus Christ does not come on a seat. It comes into one person at a time. I teach, you look incredulous, but this is what I teach everywhere I go, I tell them, get down to winning your near ones. Get the kingdom of God to root into real soil. That's where rubber hits the road. Amen. You understand the expression rubber hits the road? Kingdom of God has to come into one heart at a time. Then the darkness disappears. So here is a little diagram I have drawn often in the past. Today also I draw. Do you know this shape? And Sri Lanka tends to get fatter than what it really is. Do you know this shape? Yes. And Sri Lanka is what is Sri Lanka? 22 million hearts. Correct? 22 million hearts. And the lamp of the Lord, or the light of the Lord, in him was life, and that life was the light of men. Amrit Scripture. In him was life, and that life was the light of men. Scripture. So leaders and preachers have to know this. And the sons of preachers also have to know this. Good John has 22 chapters. 21 chapters. Preachers. In him was life, and that life was the light of men. Preachers' wives also have once. Preacher's granddaughter's son, and the father is a preacher. This is no joke. They are in the basic scripture. Let me start by. Yes, brother. No, then God so loved the world. God so loved the world that 1:4, John 1:4. You can't forget this. In him was life, and that life was the light of men. John 1:5, and that light shines in the darkness, and the darkness cannot overtake it. Your translation is, many translations are not very clear on it. The word used is, the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness cannot seize it, apprehend it, put it under rest. You get what darkness can't do to the light, where Jesus' light, when it comes into us, no one else can do so. Only we might, Jesus said, under the bushel or under the bed. You remember that, isn't it? So when Jesus' light comes, that's the way darkness is dispelled by revelation. So we have to do this one at a time. So the most important intercession is one soul saved at a time. Most important social action is one soul saved at a time. Most important social justice is one soul saved at a time. One soul saved is words of, yards of talking and hours of clip watching. So more we circulate other people's testimonies and great stories from Uruguay, Paraguay, Ukraine, and marvelous testimonies, my amazing miracle. More you circulate other people's things, less you do. That's the problem. So have an authentic story that when you witness this happen, that will speak to you, that will speak to the devil, and when you go to do it next time, it will speak to that person also. It will speak to us also. Isn't it? What will speak more? You coming and telling me, Uncle, this happened, I went to the, let's say, some market, and as I'm going, there was this person, and I got this thing. You often get a feeling, I have seen this person. Not that you have seen this person. Holy Spirit is saying affinity. You feel affinity. Today I went to a bookshop, card shop, and there's this lady. I know, of course she was over 70 years old. I'm looking at her. I had been embarrassed, otherwise being so young, looking at ladies, you know. So, but you know what I mean? I just entered and I'm looking at this lady, Then she says, I'm Anne's cousin. This is Anne. I haven't seen her, but the face cut is just like Anne. And I'm getting the thing, I know, then I realize this in the spirit. Then I gave her something I had. Then my booklet was in the card shop. She took that and she said she will keep contact. Now I will invite her to have a service hospital. I just went to the card shop this morning. And that sense of, so anytime, anywhere, take this principle. When you go, you meet someone, it's not happenstance, it is God's chance. Meaning God gave an instance for us to meet that person in that place. Okay? So always believe when you go and meet someone, shop or go to a function, that was a God thing, isn't it? That is a God thing. That's how God works for solitude. And each soul saved is the way. Each soul saved, that's for Shiloma, who has been on mind, she has been carrying the Supreme Court on her head. And we supported her so much in prayer. So praying for the nation, when you think of praying for the nation, shall we read this together? When you think of praying for the nation, pray for the salvation and how to witness to whom you know and are not saved. So we have a lot of people we know and they are not saved. What is that? Just really moving. Timothy, we were keeping the front seats for our favorite self, huh? Uncle, really moving. Hey, come. Ready? There are 4 seats waiting. Come, Timothy. Hurry up. It's all getting recorded and you're delayed. Sorry. So one more time, I want to lay the point. When you think of praying for the nation, pray for the salvation and how to witness to whom you know and are not saved. So today's our time together while we are going through the Word of God, we'll also ensure that we pray enough for those whom we want to invite for carols on the 15th and sing the carols on the 22nd. So John 1:4, in him was life and the life was the light and the light was the light and the life was the light of men. John 1:5. Will you read it from your Bible? John 1:5. Here I am giving you the right translation. John 1:5. In him was life and in him was the John 1:4. In him was life and the life was the light of men. And light shines in the darkness. Darkness cannot overtake the light. That's the right translation. Okay. So Sri Lanka is 22 million hearts. One heart coming to Christ. At present, maximally, only about 300 and let's say about 500,000 maximally saved. Probably less. Maximally only 500,000. So what's the percentage like? If it is 1%, it will be 2 million. Can you see that our save percentage is so low? So it's about 0.25% saved, isn't it? Is that right? It's about 0.25% saved. So many countries in the world are surprised because we have no restrictions, isn't it? Malaysia, you can't reach to Malays. You get landed in prison. But Malays are one country, but they are all going underground or they are shifting to East Malaysia. East Malaysia also are easy, where we went. So in Sri Lanka, we have no restrictions where the Buddhists can come here, Catholics can come to Christ, Muslims can come to Christ, Hindus can come to Christ. No restriction. So why is it so low? Why are people not getting saved? So this time in our Christmas effort, we want to do our utmost for His, complete the utmost for His highest. That's a famous devotional by Oswald Chambers. Oswald Chambers died at the age of 42, but for the next 27 years, his wife put him through, she always took notes of her husband's sermons. For the next 27 years, she published the books out of the sermons by her dead husband. No computers, on typewriter. Great devotion, isn't it? So that book itself is my utmost for His highest. It's a famous devotional. One day at a time you can read it. Each of us should have a copy. It's a classic. It's a classic. A life well lived and completely devoted to Christ. He died in Egypt because he met as a chaplain in the British Army and he got infection and typhoid and he cancer. Okay. So we want to get one lamp at a time lit up of those. So when you think of pray for Sri Lanka, pray for the salvation and how to witness to whom you know and not saved. So whom we know must get saved. This is our pitch. So this is the way the city becomes a city of light on the hill. So we get back to the scripture that we looked at and we want to scatter as much light as possible. Matthew chapter 5 verse 30. You are the salt of the earth. But if the salt loses its flavor, that translation is not right. If the salt loses its saltiness, the translation is saltiness. Because salt has two characteristics. Salt has taste, and salt has truth. Taste flavors, truth savors, prevents corruption. Please write it down as you hear. And flavor, of course, I compare it to love. Love and truth makes the gospel. Love plus truth makes the gospel. Did you get my exegesis? Exegesis is drawing from the word of God exactly as it is. Sometimes it involves Greek. In this case, you need to know it only because most translations refer to flavor of salt. The moment you say flavor, you think of taste. But actual Greek is, you are the salt of the earth, but if the salt loses its saltiness, how shall it be seasoned? So seasoned is a good word, isn't it? What is seasoned will not corrupt. So in this time when so much of rancor, backbiting, insulting, so I want to tell you at the outset, never insult someone who is seated on a seat belonging to God. So the president's seat belongs to God. When he sits on it, we have to deal with him as God deals with him because we are Christians. Same with the Prime Minister's seat. It belongs to God. Now there's a contention about him, but about both of them we have to speak with how God will deal with that seat. Every seat of governance belongs to God. Did you understand that? So during this prayer time, I am asking the Lord to help us to bring the same mantle of God for the cabinet ministry post of education. Amen. So we will always have authority. We lay down God's scepter and staff on the cabinet post of education. Education is important. Agree? Well-educated, sensible person must occupy. Then the next one may be finances, important thing. So even on the Minister of Finance, we God's people want to place God's scepter. Then maybe law, order and justice. Very important law. We are praying now. Next Minister of Justice is under God's rod in our hand. God's scepter in our hand. You understand? Then power and energy. That's the important thing in order. So petroleum, power, electricity is important. So Lord Jesus, we place God's scepter on the cabinet ministerial portfolio of power, energy, fuel and so on. Then the foreign ministry, because in the context of the war that ended but the problems that have not ended, our foreign minister has to be very wise how they deal with the UN. So we will first do that. So Lord, we lay the scepter of God on the cabinet portfolio of foreign ministry. Did we get it all? Education, finance, then defense. Whoever is always defense is usually Prime Minister or President, but there would be a deputy defense person who is also very important. So Lord, we lay your scepter on the minister who will be actually handling defense, police, you get the point, internal security, very important ministry. If we cover these 7, including the top 2, I think we will hold the nation before God. Did you understand that? Maybe the main trade minister. Main trade minister also should be under God's scepter. Did you understand? There are lots of other things, but these should be under God's scepter. So Lord, we place the scepter of God on the cabinet portfolio of the main trade minister in Jesus' name. Amen. Hemant says food, we are an agricultural nation. So, and it comes from God, isn't it? So do you understand the wondrous work of praying through a nation, isn't it? Praying through a nation, this is how we should pray. This seed belongs to God. And God gives us His scepter and staff. Isaiah 3. Isaiah 3. So today's time we want to use it graphically as possible and enough information and biblical knowledge, and we want to draw our icons to come for our capital services on the 15th English one, 22nd the singular one. So all of our time will be interactive like that. Isaiah 3. Lord, we want salvation for our loved ones. Behold the Lord of hosts. Now you will see in your Bible the first Lord is Adonai. Did you see just the way it is written is just Elohim. Yeah. Elohim. But the next Lord is, can you see it's written in small capitals, it's still different. That means Yahweh. Everybody want to? First Lord, Adonai, Lord the Master. The second Lord is Yahweh. Every Bible will follow that. The Yahweh will be in small English capitals. Got it? Agreed? Shall we give an eye for that? Okay. For behold the Lord of hosts. So the moment you say Lord of hosts, you know this is a governmental thing God is getting into. Because Lord of hosts means Yahweh's both. Yahweh's both. You must remember this always because these things will come again and again. And there's a Hebrew letter where the T and S are together. Suppose, you know, there's a Hebrew letter where the T and S are together. Saboat, the Lord of the armies. Moment you say Lord, when God is in the scripture has Lord of the armies, that means He is getting ready for a major intervention. That passage is going to have major intervention. He is going to act as a military host. Will you say the military host? So later we will come to a word. It's consistently so in the KJV. So it's good to have old KJV with you. Generally New King James follows it. The most concordant translation is the New King James Version and the Old KJV. Others get to different degrees dynamic equivalent. It gives a general idea. I mean, it's accurate, pretty accurate. But if you stick to the New King James Version, because the Old King James is old-fashioned, you get a fair idea of how the Greek grammar syntax occurs. Other one which is even better than New King James is NASB, New American Standard Bible. Okay? So when you are looking at Bible translation, stick to New King James or NASB. Alright. So you will always have New King James in the Old Testament when it says God will visit iniquity. Where do you get that? We stopped asking questions with Hansini, so I'm sorry it starts with you, right? Visit. God will visit iniquity. Yes, you. Tiri, Kayomi, Christy. Exodus 20. Commonest thing we remember is I am the Lord who will visit the iniquity of the fathers, isn't it, to the third and the fourth generation. So what is visit? The Hebrew word is pakat. It is God's direct military intervention. So when we pray, we must let Him intervene. We can't intervene. Hotter our words get, more distant God gets. You can write it down. So however troublous the situation is, keep your peace. Where who intervenes is God. He will visit. So visit has a military connotation. You can write it down. Visit means on behalf of His people against His enemies. So we must make sure that God chooses His enemies and God engages them. Yeah. Then our curriculum is Father, what's our curriculum? Father, forgive. Our curriculum is mercy. Our curriculum is mercy. God's curriculum is vengeance is mine, I will leave it to Him. I will do it. Hebrews 10:37. So we have to have this practice. We have to have this ingrained in us. However wicked our opponent is, we can only say, Father, forgive. We also can say, Father, please give me relief. Father, please protect my children. Other part of the curriculum, God has to act. When the anti-conversion bill was on, there were so many people who were wickedly interested in churches. We could only cry for God to give us strength. I had to go to the NGO commission because one particular organization in which Iran was working was involved. I had to meet with the head of that organization daily and coach him how to answer, that he will not get into trouble. Many churches were dragging me. AOG was dragging me. I had to go and meet him. Christian lawyers were not available. We had to meet a Catholic lawyer, and it was a big trouble. So we interceded. But thank God, we got an opportunity to have an interview with KHD Vijayadas, President Premadasa's secretary. So when I was given the interview, the one who got the appointment said, Lalith, you convince him that this is very bad for him and the Christians are being very unfairly treated by the EU Commission. 1992, we could do nothing. And it had 5 commissioners, the chairman and the state council, who was the one who should have got investigations going. He took an adversarial position, and there's no lawyer who can't represent you, and all what he says of an organization goes uncontested. It comes next day in the newspaper, and it is terrible. Churches getting attacked, burned, whatnot. 1992. So we got this offer. Then Professor Priya Soisa, who was also a commissioner, she asked me to come and see her. Whole property metrics. She said, Lalith, this is terrible. 2 of us, there is another Catholic commission. We can't open our mouth. We are not given any chance to speak. The chairman, who was the judge of the Supreme Court, and the state council of the time, supposedly assisting to find fact, is getting ready to frame the church. You will have to do something. So we were praying about this. We felt so helpless, so small, because they had got hold of the government machinery to hijack the whole thing, to crucify the believing church, and then came the cry, unethical conversion. That's the time this whole thing came up, that churches are giving rice and dal and whatnot. And they want to proscribe evangelism, bring an anti-conversion bill in 1992. 91, this was 1991. So I went and met KHD Vijayadas, and I told him, God help me. 45 minutes, 50 minutes, he said, don't worry, doctor, I'll take care of it. It was Friday. On Monday, the 5 commissioners went to BMICH committee room, door closed. They are told, president has postponed the commission. It never came up. We give you a hand back. Because we feel very pressed down. We believe God will visit where this is His. Some medical personnel were very involved in crucifying the church at that time, meaning finding a lot of information, twisting it. I don't like to tell them what happened to them, but God visited. 3 main people, 2 died. 1 was narrowly saved. Her life was saved. But we didn't ask for it. We couldn't ask for it. We only prayed, saying, Lord, make your darling the church the apple of your eye. What is more close to our heart than praying for the nation, praying for salvation, and how to witness to whom you know and are yet not saved? We want nation to be free from this, isn't it? Our every talent, treasure, time, and our effort to be available to Lord to win souls through us. So one soul converted, coming to Christ, is how darkness goes out of this life. So don't get into praying hi-fi prayers. Get into this simple thing. There's a throne in every heart. That heart must enthrone Jesus Christ. This heart must enthrone Jesus Christ. So in a given area or a family life, one person comes to Christ. You are the engineer. Another person comes to Christ. Another person comes to Christ. Another person comes to Christ. Then a tipping point comes. All can come to Christ. Did you get that? Right. There's a momentum generating that one after the other, they all can come to Christ. That is so for a family life. That is so for a nation. So let's say 5% of Sri Lanka gets saved. When Abraham was interceding for Sodom, Abraham said, Lord, if 50 are there. Lord, if 40 are there. There's consequence. Lord, if 30 are there. Lord, if 20 are there. The Lord said yes. Then Abraham said, oh Lord, don't get angry with me if 10 are there. So what if 10% gets saved of a nation? Nation will be prosperous. Revival fires will burn everywhere. Heaven will open and sky is the limit after that. When 10%, tithe of citizens come to Christ, it will be 20%, it will be 30%. Those things will come quite quickly. Shall we give a hand clap? So don't get distracted from this one thing. Christ must be enthroned in the hearts of everyone to whom I have access. That's all. And keep it open that wherever you go, that happenstance is not a happenstance, it's a Godstance. God put it in your understand. We will not read this one. Major, please come up. We have kept one seat right in front for a saint. Okay. So don't get distracted from this. So Isaiah 3, let's look at Isaiah 3. When the name Yahweh Sabaoth is involved, it's all about heaven's government. It's all about heaven's armies coming into one place to do God's thing, God's way. If it means God's curriculum vengeance is mine, I will repay, He will repay. So when we met President Previdas, 1992, March 30, we had written down the prophecy and gone, God is your Father. We started by saying God is your Master, God is your Shepherd, God is your Savior, God is your Father. So we said God is the Shepherd of this nation, you are His under shepherd. God is your Master, you have to hold the President's seat like a servant. And we went in Sucharita, it was a big table, he was seated here, I was seated here, I think Kranti was seated here, and Tissa was seated there. I think Dadi Selsing and Viraj was seated there. So we spoke to him, God is the shepherd of the nation, you are His under shepherd, God is your master, you are the servant, vengeance belongs to Him. You can't take vengeance. You can't exculpate the guilty and you can't indict the innocent. God is your Savior. If you don't know Him, you will take vengeance. You have to know Him as Savior. Fourthly, I said, God is your Father. You wake up early in the morning, Nobody has to see. Everybody, he wakes up at 4 o'clock and troubles all the heads of department at 4 o'clock. I went down this road, there was a pothole, what are you doing? At that time, my uncle was a director of highways. He gets a call at 4 in the morning, telling him, I went on a bridge, this bridge is like this, things like that. So I said, you will have at 4 o'clock, no one needs to see. You will sit on your bed, close your eyes, pray and say, Father, help me. Because in that seat, God speaks as Father. You remember the dying king said, Elisha said, my father, to Elijah. You remember with the chariots king. Then the dying king said, my father, when Elisha was going. So those kings who are in head of state feels like an offer when there is trouble. Then God speaks to him. God spoke to Pharaoh, God spoke to Nebuchadnezzar, God spoke to Xerxes. He couldn't sleep that night because Esther and Mordecai were praying. Xerxes couldn't sleep. He woke up in the middle of the night and said, get the annals of the kings. And he's going through that and he finds Mordecai has saved his life. He wakes up someone and said, what have I done to this man? Nothing. Haman comes the next day. So when there's a trouble brewing in the country, you need to watch the Haman, who is trying to use this situation to fix the church. Always when there's political trouble, you have to watch the man who is trying to fix the church. That's how it goes. So in Book of Esther, who was trying to fix the church? Haman. What was the church at that time? The Jews in the city of Shushan. Esther was praying, Mordecai was praying. Esther refused to go in. Mordecai said, if you don't go in and tell the king at this time, relief will come to the Jews from some other source. But you have come in for such a time as this. And she said, yes, I'll go in. If I die, I will die. And then the whole scene turned. And Haman had to decorate Mordecai and promote Mordecai, and the scaffolding Haman made for Mordecai, Haman hung. Isn't it? So the Bible is full of stories of how Christians must engage troubled times, political times. It's always in the face of God. Isaiah 3. For behold, the Lord of hosts, takes away from Jerusalem and from Judah the staff, the scepter and the staff. Who has those two words in your translation? Come look at the translation. Sriram, you have the NIV. What does the NIV say?
It's a way to supply and supply.
Yeah. Stock and store. So the Hebrew is staff and scepter. So staff is the shepherd's guidance. The scepter is the king's government. Please write it down. Staff is the shepherd's guidance. Scepter is the king's government. It is God who gives the nation both. Majida, you have a table with you. What is the next? Isaiah 3:2. No, Isaiah 3:1. Yeah. Pardon? What do you have? Supplancy. So that will be staff, shepherd's staff, and the king's scepter. Scepter of governance. One is the soft one of shepherd's staff, other one is the king's one of governance, rod. In his translation has rod. So, you remember the shepherd's son? The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Your rod and your staff will comfort me. Rod is the government, and the staff is the shepherd with him. Did you understand? So that it's from that you get king's scepter and shepherd or priestly staff. So we are kings and priests. We are kings and priests. So in our praying intercession, sometimes we can feel this needs a shepherdly, priestly, very soft supplication. Especially your son, loved one. He is some, disarray, going astray. Will you say, in the name of Jesus, I will take the rod of God, I will land it on his head, turn the fellow around. You don't do that. You'll be very soft, isn't it? You're in intercession, you will apply the shepherd's staff and say, Lord, lead him onto this path. Open his eyes, let your staff guide him. We'll be very gentle, isn't it? Who said, be gentle with the fellow? Bible. Very good, Ruth. Very good. About absence. Who tried to kill you? He told Joab, be gentle with the fellow. Here the son had planned, connived to kill the father, David the king, and chased him out of the city. One of the saddest Bible stories I always cry when I read it. David went out of which gate of Jerusalem? Jerusalem had how many gates? 12. Every gate had a name. Out of which gate did David go out that night? His son was coming with the army to surround Jerusalem. Out of which gate? Out of the east gate, which is also called the King's Gate. Someone must have written about these 12 gates of Jerusalem, isn't it? Must have, I think. There's a book called Bethlehem. Battle, Beauty and Blessing. Read this. So that night, David went out of that thing, and when Absalom was caught, he told Joab, be gentle with the Lord. But Absalom was running on his steed, and his hair got entangled in a branch over he was hanging. And Joab's brother who killed Absalom, Joab's brother, Abishai, I think, drove the spear through Absalom and killed Absalom. David cried. So Jews believe when Jesus returned, he will return from the eastern gate of Jerusalem. So eastern gate of Jerusalem faces the mountain slope of Olives. So when Jesus was coming towards Jerusalem, coming down the mountain slope, he saw Jerusalem. Jerusalem was there, slope was like this. He saw Jerusalem and he said, "Oh Jerusalem, had you known the day of your visitation?" Luke 19, 41 and 42. So Arabs believe Jewish Messiah will come from the eastern gate of Jerusalem. So in 1860 or 70, when Arabs had the control of the city, what did they do? They put concrete and closed up the eastern gate of Jerusalem to prevent the return of Christ. They believed it so much. But we know Christ is going to come in a glorified body. Doors and gates don't matter to him. And Jews buy up the property on the eastern slope of Jerusalem. It's very costly, 6 feet by 4 feet. Why do you need a property of 6 feet by 4 feet? For burial. So the most expensive real estate in Jerusalem is the eastern slope of the Mount of Olives. Many have been buried there. All rich people buy a plot and keep. Why? When they are buried and when the Messiah comes, they can rise up quickly. But they believe so much, but they don't believe Jesus Christ is the Messiah. That's their blindness. And Romans 10:11, Paul says, that's the blindness of, the mystery of the blindness of Israel. And then Paul says, the mystery of the blindness of Israel came that we may believe that the wild olive may be grafted to the original olive. And he says, do you think they will be cast away? No, they will not be cast away. So that's the mystery of the blindness of Ishvara. There are 7 mysteries and there are 2 great mysteries. That is why we need to come for Bible study time to tell your neighbor what a good thing we gave today. What a good thing we gave today. What a good thing. Now ask your neighbor, did you come last month? Next month you must not come. So please don't miss your Bible seminar time. We are on Isaiah 3. The staff and the scepter. The whole supply of bread and the whole supply of water. Who gives that to a city or a nation? God gives it. So Hema rightly reminded that we should pray for the seat of agriculture, isn't it? Because Sri Lanka is agriculture economy. Seat of agriculture. Isn't it? Seat of agriculture. So we have prayed for, we said, Lord, we are holding your scepter. Then there is an iron rod of God. Timothy, what do you like? The golden scepter of God or the iron rod of God? Of course. And He keeps the golden scepter for vessels of honor. Scripture, Nirmal scripture. Vessels of honor. I've been asking all the decision leaders and worship leaders scriptural questions. Vessels of honor, scripture. Avishka, vessels of honor, scripture. Anushika, vessels of honor, scripture. It is 2 Timothy 2, I think 21 or 22. In a house there are vessels unto honor and vessels unto dishonor. God thinks whole house of government is God's. Can you understand that? God thinks whole house of government is God's. God thinks the judiciary is God's. That is easy to understand. God thinks that the entire executive and the corporate belongs to Him. All the cattle on 1,000 hill and all the gold mines belong to who? God. This is what it's about. All the support, staff, economy, provision of a nation comes from whom? God. Who gave nations boundaries and the provision? God. Acts 17. Did you understand that? So God owns the executive, corporate and economy. God owns the judiciary. God owns the legislature. And on His behalf, we exercise His government on all of them. That's the call of the church. That's why the church is the city on the hill. So we have to take our authority, responsibility seriously, and we will speak the words of God on what God has put under our hand. Of course, it's a process. You begin the prayer governance by establishing God's peace on His street. Proverbs 1, 20-23, we did on Sunday. So the streets will have doors. We have knocked on every door and given God's peace. In some doors, you make God's peace because Matthew 5:8 says, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the sons of God. So how do we make peace? Care acts, care witness, give them the gospel, pray for them, intercede for them. Did you understand that? That's how we make peace. So before praying very high-sounding prayers, oh, let the Lordship of Jesus Christ come on the Supreme Court. Please go to your next door neighbor, knock on his door, and give him this ticket. We say we have a nice event. All our children are practicing for this. My wife is singing on stage. We have additional incentive team. And on the back of it, you can buy it for free. Yeah. So this has 200 rupees. You can give it free, or you can buy and give them, And there's a card without money being mentioned. So if you really want to invite your boss or something, you can take the card. Or you can do a complimentary to the card. That's it. I sold tennis. So, peacemaking, governance begins with your street. We read that in Proverbs 1. Shall we read it again? Proverbs 1, 20, 23. You have to get the kingdom of God coming into your heart as the will of God. Kingdom of God is eternal. Kingdom of God has been there from the Garden of Eden even before that. And kingdom of God will continue. And the song goes, and there is the man, which announced the song. And kingdom shall reign over all the earth. Blessing and honor, glory and power be unto the Ancient of Days. From every nation, all of creation, bow before the Ancient of Days. Blessing and honor, glory and power be unto the Ancient of Days. From every nation, all of creation, bow before the Ancient of Days. Every tongue in heaven and earth shall sing of your glory. Every knee shall bow at your throne. In worship you'll be exalted, O God, and your kingdom shall pass away, O Ancient of Days. Your kingdom shall reign over all the earth. Sing unto the Ancient of Days. For none can compare with your matchless word. Sing unto the Ancient of Days. Your kingdom shall reign over all the earth. Sing unto the Ancient of Days. For none can compare with your matchless word. Sing unto the Ancient of Days. Every tongue in heaven and earth shall declare your glory. Every knee shall bow at your throne. In worship you'll be exalted, O Lord, and your kingdom shall not pass away, O Ancient of Days. Amen. So his kingdom is eternal. It knows no boundary, it knows no barrier, but it has to come into one heart at a time. That's our task, isn't it? That's our commission. Build my kingdom into one heart at a time. Then the nations will look after themselves. This is our task. Those who are like us, near ones, our friends, get the kingdom into their life. Then, in light will shine in them, darkness will not overtake their family, not overtake their children, not overtake their morals, not overtake their finances, not overtake their health. That's the promise. That's why we have to get the kingdom into them. We have to. This is how nations improve one soul at a time. So we each doing our little bit to get one person to Christ. So Christmas time is the best tribute, isn't it? We have that wonderful song, tribute, my tribute, my tribute. The best tribute is to bring one person to Christ. So we touched on many scriptures. Isaiah 3, have we looked at it? It's a good chapter to understand governance. Isaiah 3, the stock hands, now this God is saying, I'm judging and I'm removing it out of Jerusalem and Judah. By Isaiah's time, already Israel was behaving their own way, and Assyria had invaded Israel. Halfway through Isaiah's prophecy. Isaiah is now prophesying round about just after the Syrian invasion, round about 730 BC. Therefore, he's talking only about Jerusalem and Judah. And he's saying, you Jerusalem and Judah, you saw what happened to the 10 northern tribes, they are already gone, but you are not learning a lesson. And he's saying, God is prophesying to Isaiah, the stock and the store, the whole supply of bread and the whole supply of water. Behold, the Lord is going to take away. He's the one who gives the economy, isn't he? He's the one who gives the economy. So we are saying, Lord, whatever parliamentarians do, we are before your face. Shall we say, Lord, whatever parliamentarians do, we are before your face. Our light is stronger than their darkness. So please don't get involved in their darkness. Please don't get moved by their darkness. Shine your light. Be in His face. Get the assurance this present struggle in the parliament is not going to defeat our light. Is it darkness? Yes, of course it is darkness. But John 5 says, light shines in the darkness, and the darkness will not overtake. Darkness will not overtake. We are saying this is the time we are going to shine like noonday brightness. And that Saul of Tarsus, on his high horse, on the way to Damascus, he might be a political leader, he might be a corporate leader, he might be a well-known academician, he might be a religious leader. He is on his high horse, and it is high noon, is time for confrontation. God shines His brightness because of the prayer of dying Stephen. You remember the first martyr? Stephen was dying. And who kept Stephen's robes while he was dying? Not Stephen's robe, everybody's robe. It's a religious act for Jewish Pharisees. They remove their religious robe. Every Pharisee has a religious robe. And he has phylacteries. So, Kaimi, what are phylacteries? Anushika, what are phylacteries? Anuruddha, what are phylacteries? Nirmal, what are phylacteries? On their cuff, on their collar, on the border of their garment, they wrote down scriptures for exhibition. So the religious robe of a Pharisee is very holy. So before they stone a fellow to death, they have to remove this, fold it and keep it. Then only they get into stoning. So who looked after their robes? Saul of Tarsus. Fully consenting, scripture says, Acts 7. Fully consenting to the decision of the Sanhedrin, stone him and kill him. What a bright young man he was. He was stoned to death. But while dying, Stephen saw the Lord. Lifted up, standing to receive him. Stephen saw. And Stephen said, what did Stephen say? I see the majesty of, what did Stephen say? I see the majesty of heaven standing, Son of Man, standing at the right hand of the majesty of heaven. And they said, blasphemy, enough of this word. Kill him. And dying, he said what? Father, forgive them. They do not know what they do. Saul of Tarsus admired Stephen's prayer. Saul is brilliant, the best theologian in Jerusalem. In the Sanhedrin, when Stephen was giving the defense, Stephen quoted scripture after scripture by memory, no looking. And Saul of Tarsus said, what a young man, what a young man, what a young man. Only thing is on the wrong side. As far as Saul of Tarsus, I think he was sorry that he had to kill him. But Saul is a servant before foundation. He's sold out for the law. He thinks mistakenly that Stephen has to be put to death. Because he, with his heresy, will convert most of Jerusalem. With his humility, smartness, wisdom. And he knows the law so much. Nobody in Jerusalem knew the law as much as Saul of Tarsus. And Stephen matched his knowledge. And he would just go on quoting scripture after scripture. And Saul said, for this reason this fellow must die. He must not know so much of the Jewish law and now try to preach Christ. Did you understand it? Saul convinced others that Stephen should die. But when dying Stephen said that, it pierced Saul's heart. Because Saul would have liked to have him as his disciple. Because Saul of Tarsus was the disciple of the great rabbi Gamaliel. So Paul had respect. He was Saul then, had respect for Stephen. But he said, this fellow must die. And he died. But dying, he saved Saul. So on the way to Damascus, when Jesus spoke to him and said, Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? He did not say, how am I persecuting you? He said, who are you? But he knew what he had done. You know, in a tough man's spirit and soul journey, that's the time Jesus appears. I will see. Saul was already in a melee. And how did he want to overcome the melee inside? He said, I'll go and kill some more Christians. So he's going on the way to Damascus to catch Christians there. But on the way, Christ captures him. And he falls from his high horse, blind. And Jesus saves him. So this is the time. If Christians shine their noonday brightness, get to the best in God's call now. When country shows utter darkness, it's an invitation for us to get the brightest light we ever had. Will you say amen for that? Please stop watching screens. Please stop watching despicable behavior. Get to God's face. Get to God's face and say, that's the challenge for me to get my light brightest. This is what I'm doing. I'm on the 4th day of fasting. Fasting is difficult for me. I like travel. I like posture. I like Kajunans. Rajagiri's service is excellent. But the fast came as I came from KL, I couldn't eat. This food went up. And I saw this vision, praying in KL, Pastor Ken's church. There was this, we were about 16, they have a good leadership still there, we have labored with them, they have also labored. And there was this silver network, like your fencing, like the one we put up at campsite dining hall, that hexagonal kind of thing, silver. And angels are holding it. So I said, what is this? The Lord said, this is what they have developed for their church now. This is the network of a leadership cell coming together and church gathering. And angels are waiting for the prayers of saints to stretch this silver network, let's say over the mayor of the town. Do you understand what I'm saying? When they are active, invite, praying, interceding, witnessing, the silver network goes over the largest, let's say, a barricade. You know what I mean? Angels are waiting to increase the God's hope, God's portion we have been given. Only thing we need to pray. But in our prayers get dim. There's ancient ropes, dark black ropes, woven fiber by fiber. Not the usual wire rope you see, black ropes. And it is there saying, no, it's groaning, no, no. When saints' prayers are going up, the silver shows and God works, angels work. When our prayers go down, that rope has a voice up. It's a rope. Can you understand a rope work? Rope work not allowing a nation, a township, a family to expand. And to see Christians and non-Christians alike, they are speaking dark threads, dark words, black words. And these words are going like fibers and making the rope work stronger. But then when the prayers are good, the silver network comes. And the Lord says, you can cover a neighborhood, you can cover a street, you can cover a township, you can cover a whole nation. Did you understand that? So take care what you feel, the ropes or the silver network. Listen, we decide today, this privileged position we have in God's face. We are not going to forfeit that for anything. Amen. We will take our place in God's face till noonday brightness comes. Proverbs 4:18. From morning light to noonday brightness. Proverbs 4:18. From morning, keep your finger at Isaiah till we have finished. We wish to stir up your spirit with speaking in tongues. You can raise a voice in tongues. Think of the portion you have. Think of the position you have. Think of the responsibility you have. Think of the family. Think of the little fellows. And you are saying, I'm going to stretch that silver network. I'm going to stretch that silver network. We only have to agree with His will. We only have to give our face to His face. It's not hard work. Hard work is this. Our face wants to go mind everybody else's business. Get your face in God's face. And then the silver network will appear. The country's problem is not the parliamentarians. The country's problem are the Christians who are not giving their face to God's face. We know from 2009 what the church has been doing in Sri Lanka. Colombo. From 2009 to 2018, church in Colombo has been utterly divisive, competitive, sheep rustling, behaving like pirates, buccaneers and robbers. Just planning how to shift, begging pardon for the rogues part, how to shift people from one church to the other. This was the great game going on. And we are reaping the consequences of it. Everything that happens in the parliament, church has done. The deception, the corruption, the manipulations to get people from one place to the other. Then you go to the next place and you party hop, church hop, and blackguard the last place. All this the church has done. And it has landed on our face. Now, we can go to His face. That's the good thing. Whatever defacement we get from our face, we tell our child, darling, whatever happens, come home. Don't we say that? Whatever happens, come home. You are always come home. In your worst day, come home. I never close the door to you. Come home. So Jesus is saying that to Sri Lanka. And Jesus is saying that to His church. Get back to me. Stop your competition. Get back to me. So now that I'm in a big WhatsApp group, about 430, my age, and the 40-year-olds, 35-year-olds, everybody that is something, they are worried now. I believe church is coming to the place. We now know we have to get out of prayer. You know, when Reinhardt came in 1997, Iran was logistics chairman. I was distribution chairman. Two of us ran the event. Every Friday we are meeting at Bible Society. Every Friday. Bishop of Colombo was the chairman. He's not even a Christian, Bishop of Colombo at that time. But he pulled the event through. 100,000 people on course with him. 100,000. For Sri Lanka, 100,000 is a big number, you know. In Africa, Reinhard gets about 300, 500,000, but African fellows are, they come in their groves. Calls cricket grounders overflowing. Police counters 110,000. We can't do a thing like that now, where people don't come together. That's a problem. So last time it happened was 1997. A little bit like that happened in, quite a one happened in 2005. When Uncle Dinakaran came, 2006. February, God Fest. 2006 February. Church was got together. That's the last time he came. And he was ill at that time also. I was on the stage. I could see far away, last human being looked like a little beetle, meaning suffering. Suffering. Thank God, isn't it? We can't do it anymore. Because every church is doing their empire. Imagine 300,000 Christians for 4 days praying in God's face. Can you imagine the sight of it? Can you imagine God's pressure on it? This is how war started. But from 2009, we have also got a strength. Now we have come back to the house of prayer. Every Saturday, at least there's a faith program to pray. All our churches are engaging other days. They are keeping it very faithfully. Hansini and Pastor Chaminda, they keep a prayer hour every Friday from 7 to 10:30. 7:30 to 10. Right? Azumbi Church has got that time. Every church has got a time. And they are keeping it. And we have Khat Sri Lanka. We saw the same of Sri Lanka. And we have distributed. So God prepared us for this. We did not know what was coming. We were prepared in prayer. I have said, God, this time we give our face to you. You must come. This is not an issue between you and we. This is between you and your people. For that purpose which Christ proclaimed in us, we are apprehended. We are ready. Shall we raise our hands and say, I am available. I am available. I am available. Do it quietly in your family prayer time. Please come for the times church asks you to come. So Proverbs 4:18 I was going to read. But the path of the just is like the shining sun, that shines even brighter unto the perfect day. Starting from, there in the Hebrew there's a sense from morning, arunalu, from morning light to noonday sun. So when noonday sun happens, high position, high riding, highly placed positions tumble down at the glory of Christ and they say, who are you, Lord? Take it up for your boss. That's your boss. Others who are connected to you, powerful people. This is the time their horses will get tumbling where God's glory is shining. You understand my application? Saul of Tarsus on the way to Damascus, their position, they feel scared. They feel, don't know what's going to happen. Then their heart is open to Christ. You tell them, nothing is going to happen. You come to Christ. His kingdom will come. You will become His kingdom citizen. And God from heaven will look after your business. God from heaven will look after your family. This is the word you must take of them. Take a ticket and invite them. I'm telling you they will come. The person who took, he grabbed the entire ticket book from my hand. I said, no, I want to give you a ticket free. He said, no, I'll pay for this. Took the entire ticket book saying he's going to give it to his friend. He has never done it. I prophesied over him yesterday, this is your role. I think it struck his heart. So believe that on this ticket there's an anointing, because this is the time of the Lord. So we are well placed. Heavens are absolutely clear. Because nation is headless. When the nation is headless, God says, you become head. You become head. You understand? You become head. We did this when the JVP made the nation headless. You remember 1988-89? How many corpses? At the Chiktapa grant, Colombo closes, you remember? All of Colombo closes just before, because some JVP fellows were there, put a chip under the door and said, tell everybody close this whole street. Whole of Colombo closes. 100% headless. At that time, church took authority. That's how JVP started. we at this time, there are high horses waiting to see the glory of God. They'll tumble, not in a bad sense. They bow down, and their master falls down and says, "Who are you, Lord?" You believe this? Take this word and go. The light will shine with you. The noonday brightness of Jesus is coming. Is coming. This is the time that we shine our shields and get ready. This is the time. Isaiah 3 may have some applications for us for this time. Isaiah 3, how a nation can be held in prayers. We've already prayed over. Education minister must be, I like to say, God-fearing. Must be educated, of course. must be a man of stature. Education is so important. And this was finance minister. They must understand finance. I mean, the Christian, we know if we can become finance minister, how good. Right? Justice, law and order, and power. Look at it, powerful. Power, energy, and petroleum. Defense, police, interior, agriculture. No, I used something else. What is left over? Foreign minister is important. So the UN will enforce abortion rights. UN will enforce LGBTQ plus rights. Enforce, demand that nations make it part of their constitution. Already global takeover people are engineering boundary fluidity, migrant crisis, get people out of their nation and destabilize this nation and that nation. Is engineering thing, migrant crisis. What else are they doing? They will hype up global warming. Global warming is happening, but global warming cannot be stopped. They will do carbon printing, hype up global warming, and then they'll charge penalties. All this is to get every nation to agree to a global charter that UN is sponsoring with people who want to take over the world. Your nations don't know to look after themselves. Therefore, Big Daddy must come and look after. Haven't we heard this before? In which chapter of the Bible? Few people said, we look after all of you. You build our town. Chapter 10, Babel. And that's why you bought that book on Genesis, first 10 chapters. You will get a book on Genesis, first 10 chapters. Someone has written a book on Genesis, first 10 chapters. That's why you need to read it. You really need to repent, you know. If you can't really go, they are buying the books and they are reading. And you are hearing and not buying, and you are wondering, where is that? Please start reading. You need information. You need knowledge that will strengthen your prayer drive, your zeal for the Lord, and know that this is the time church has to get into governance. So stop criticizing the failed efforts of governments to govern. It's going to be chaotic. It might become more chaotic. But we hold our mission and we lift up and say, Lord, you are hammering shields into shape and place. You place them around us and we'll take our position. We'll be the stronghold for God. And this is the time we go to the stronghold of God. Oh, prisoners of earth. Oh, prisoners of earth. Hope. God has a stronghold for you. Okay? Don't get distracted about anything else. Why are we called prisoners of a hope? That one thing we do, the hope we have in Christ. That one thing we share. And we think it is enough till He comes. Yeah. Isaiah 3. What else does it say for governance, prayer governance? Isaiah 3. City of light upon the hill of soil. City of salt upon the hill of salt. Will you try to say this with me? If we don't salt the soil, soil will soil us. We will salt the soil. You understand this? Now, soil looks a huge mountain, and salt looks a small crystal. But Jesus said, your crystal, which is Christ in me, will change the soil. We have to believe Jesus. He said it, isn't it? If he said it, it will happen. Hold on to your saltiness. Don't become like the soil. That is what we need to watch. Isaiah 3. Behold, the Lord of hosts takes away from Jerusalem and from Judah the stock and the store, the whole supply of bread and the whole supply of water. The mighty man, man of war, judge and prophet, diviner and elder, captain of 50, and the honorable man. Captain of 50 would be the Brahmani, the counselor and the skillful artisan, and the expert enchanter. I will give children to be their princes, and babies shall rule over them. That is rebellion. If JP had its way in 1989 or 1971, that's what would have happened to Sri Lanka. Thank God we prayed and it did not happen. You understand what I am saying? The people will be oppressed, everyone by another, and everyone to his neighbor. The child will be insolent towards the elder, that's the digital revolution, and the base towards the honorable. So we have decided this is not the way we are going. So there are vessels of honor, 2 Timothy 2, in a house. While going there, we are going to Matthew 5 and reading this again. Matthew 5:14. You are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden. We start as a small light, and there's a mountain in front of us. We look so small, we feel so small, but we light up. So when we see a mountain, we don't curse the mountain. When we see a mountain, we don't keep the mountain. When we see a mountain, we don't try to bring a bulldozer. When we see a mountain, we don't try to go around the mountain. When we see a mountain, we light our lamp. Then Jesus' technology. Jesus says, light your lamp, put it on a stand. Lamp is Jesus in us. So ask him, what is the stand? Your family prayer out. Your daily Bible reading. Isn't it? You coming to a Sunday service, and Sunday comes every week. And you coming to a Sunday service ahead of time. And morning people coming for morning service, and even evening people coming for evening service. Not mixing. Then keeping yourself, keeping your monthly Bible study. Next Saturday is our fasting prayer. Lamp, you understand the stand? So when you put the lamp on the stand, stand is the support God has given us.
Next Saturday is adoration. Next Saturday is altar.
Okay. So you heard that. So next Saturday is altar service. So please, when you attend on your lamp, the stand, keep it. Lamp will not be doused. Waves will not come and overturn it. Lamp is good, but it must be on a stand. That's why we have cell groups, so your life group, people who meet together. This is the stand. And then you bring your lamps together. You become the city upon the hill. Can you see? Originally it was so small. And city looks so big. And the hill looks so big. It had economic issues, different things. But when the lamp is in the stand, and the lamp stands come together, it becomes a city of light upon the hill. And we are scattering our light into the hill. And the foundations of the righteous is going to change what is inside the hill. Shall we say together, foundations of the righteous? Proverbs 12 says, what can the righteous do if the foundations get corrupt? You become the foundation for your family life. You become become the foundation in the business. You become the foundation in your street and in your neighborhood, isn't it? That's how we go. So here it is, 15. Nor do they light a lamp and put it under a bushel. That's the work and the trade and the difficulties that you have in your, definitely work is not easy. But let your light not go under the bushel. Nor under the bed. Luke says don't put your light under the bed. Bed is, you just take it so casual and Sunday is the day to sleep. No. Don't take that attitude. So, which day are you most energetic? Sunday 7 a.m. or Monday 7 a.m.? That will tell you whether you are salt or soil. That will tell you whether you are the city or the hill. So be energetic Monday 7. Be more energetic Sunday 7. That's the way to go. Isn't it? That's the way. Be a Christian or occupying your position. Burning bright, shining on. So 15, do they light a lamp under put it in a basket, but on a lampstand, and gives light to all who are in the house. Say with me, all who are in the house. All who are in the house. So my question, what is your house? Who is in your house? Definitely husband, right? Son and daughter. Who is in your house? When you go to work, those who work with you, that's a workhouse. Then down the street is the neighboring house. You get the point? And finally we have a big house called the parliament. We have another big house called the judiciary. God says, you choose the house in which you are going to shine your light. Definitely your house you have to. Definitely your street you have to. Definitely your oikos you have to. Then you have your EQ man, your community of movement, your clients, your partners, your banker. You understand community of movements? Oikos is, you know them all. And you have put them in your little blue book. Do you have the little blue book with you? Little blue book. Who have the little red book? Who have the little red book? Yeah? Chairman Mao. He gave a little red book to all the citizens of China. We have the little blue book. What was I going to write? Oikos is your near dear ones, at least 30 of them are there. EQ man is your inhabited world, your habitat. You understand the word habitat? The community of movement you have in 1 month. Never forget the happenstance. Over a month, whom you meet, it may not be happenstance, it might be God's stance. That person you met because God meant you to meet that person. You know whom you met when you meet fashion fair. You know whom you met. And you should just at that time. So when you go to a place, always say, why did you meet this person? So when I went to Nathan's concert and Sri Lanka's richest man sat in front of me, I said, why should he be seated in front of me other than me to talk? So I spoke to him. He came to meet me with his wife. Then he asked me to come for dinner and asked me to speak to his 3 daughters about the digital problem. I did all that. At the end of it, I did the bridge illustration. And he listed all that and how we cross over. And there's a cross, I draw a cross shape. I asked him, what is this? I told him how much is it? And the shepherd follows you. And I draw a cross shape. I said, what is this? He said, that's a cross. I said, do you like to know crossover from this side to this side? He said, what? Me? No! I mean, he did not, but he was very vehement. He said, no! I don't know. I am worshipping Feng Shui, he said. He felt he had betrayed his God because he loved me to draw the whole thing. I brought him to the point of saying, you will cross over because I knew I may not meet him late. So this was Ga. There's a restaurant called Ga. So he felt he violated his God. Can you see how loyal they are? But I have given him the restaurant. His blood is not on my hands. He knows the gospel. I hope one day we will meet. I can draw a better diagram. And then who knows why it's the time, high noon. Will you say it? High noon? High horse. Shining brightness of Jesus. They are worried. Every one of them, they are worried. They don't know which, this side or that side. This side or that side. Usually when an election comes, they know which side. Now, which side? It is the time for the Christian to occupy his space with shining brightness. Invite them all Jamaats, all eight or nine. Invite them all. Yeah. I have already invited 3. You can go and invite me. They are worried. Responsible people. Don't know which way they go. At that time, noonday brightness will shine. They'll understand this high horse is very unstable. Higher the horse, greater the instability. Agree? Higher the horse, greater the instability. More compassion we must have for them. This is the time they are talking. And when they are going to fall, they are going to fall into the hands of the living God. If we have embracing hands, do you understand how we pray? We say, Lord, our hands are waiting. We have been witnessing. We have been praying. We have been keeping our spiritual telescope at the top of the mountain. This is the time they are going to fall into the hands of the living God. Good proposition. Do you understand it? So please don't waste your time looking at clips and making opinion. Parliament will look after itself. Supreme Court is in excellent hands. It will be looked after itself. You please look after, be the hands of the living God. For the ones you have invited for the carol service, those of us who are senior, we can invite senior people. Those of who are young, sometimes you may get the opportunity. Last time, Chaman went and invited the Chief Justice of the time, isn't it? He was very happy to come. You can do the same again. So, we say, Lord, when we pray, when we lift up holy hands and do 1 Timothy 2:1, our hands become the safe place for them to fall in and come to know Christ. So, do you understand how it's a matter of largesse of heart? How many are you going to include in your house? Every client that has come to you, the nasty chap who was very nasty to you without pay, giving a carol cake, and here is the signal of Timothy. You meet more people than anyone here. Other one is Dylan. Who means about it. So this is a signal of art. Dylan, you have to sell all these tickets. I sold one whole book. This is a signal. I'm just doing this to encourage you and to make it real. Those who are on high horses are worried. Right? Afterwards. They are worried. And when people in high positions are worried, we Christians say, we'll be a nursing mother in prayer. You remember Moses? Moses said, Lord, these are a terrible lot of fellows. Have I got to be a nursing mother with this kind of fellows? Are you trying to kill me? God said, yes, Moses, I'm trying to kill you and resurrect a better fellow. That's what this time means. Crucifixion makes us better. We rise with Christ. Every time pain comes, insult comes, crucify. We rise better. Difficult time. We rise with Christ. This time is given for Christians to become better. Don't become bitter. Don't mind things that are too high for us, things we can't do. What can we do with the money? We can't do anything. We can give our face to God and keep our hands ready to collect those who are in our ears who are troubled by this. Give them the hope of the gospel. Assuredly, this is a time they are waiting to fall into the hands of the living God. Okay? That's our house. Make your house and hope for your house as wide as possible. You remember the silver networking? When we pray, there's a silver networking. This is a time business can increase. Where we believe, government is finding it difficult, but we say your silver networking will provide for every business house, every salary that is here represented. The silver networking will provide the stretch and the shining in Jesus' name. Now ask yourself, if you miss this study, what a lot is. The prayer government. This is governing the ascension gift Christ has in you. It has to be brought to the lampstand. Good that you pray at home and you see visions at home, good. But your gift you have to bring to the lampstand. Lampstand is the church. Then you keep your lamp on the stand that the church has for you. Your call has for you. You keep the lamp. And in Zechariah 4, there's a vision. There is the olive tree of kingship that was Sheila, who was the name of that chapter? Zechariah 4, the king. Joshua was the priest. Is it? Zerubbabel. Zerubbabel was the apostolic kingly authority. On this side is the prophet and the priest. I'm doing the vision of Zechariah chapter 4. That was the prophet and priest, Joshua. This is the lamp. These are the two trees that feed the lampstand while continually flowing. That is why you come for a time like this. As we minister, agree together, your lamp is being cleaned, oil is being filled, and your lamp becomes brighter. You function for a full stretch of time without abating. Winds may come, darkness may increase, but we have been decision John 1:5. The light shines in the darkness, but the darkness cannot overtake it. Darkness cannot overtake it. In Jesus' precious name. That's the house. Let your light so shine before men, and they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. Now I want to show this to you. This is a bit of a tough one. 2 Timothy 2. Timothy 2:20. But in a great house there are not only vessels of gold and silver, but also of wood and clay, some for honor and some for dishonor. What is this house? Timothy 2:15. Be diligent to present yourself approved to God, a worker who does not need to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. That's why we take so much of time to examine the word and apply it to us. Every bit of the word makes our bones strong, equips us. Verse 19, nevertheless the solid foundation of God stands, having the seal. The Lord knows those who are His, and let everyone who names the name of Christ depart from iniquity. But in a great house there are not only vessels of gold and silver, but also of wood, clay, some for honor and some for dishonor. Therefore, if anyone cleanses himself from the latter, he will be a vessel for honor, sanctified and useful for the master, prepared for every good work. What is the house? Who is the master? Of the God. What is the house? What is the work? Master, no doubt, is God. What is the house? What is the work? Who are the vessels? Master is God. What is the house? What is the work? Who are the vessels? Let's read it carefully. 2 Timothy 2:18. Nevertheless, the solid foundation of God stands, having this seal. The Lord knows those who are His. Let everyone who names the name of the Lord depart from iniquity. But in a great house, there are not only vessels of gold and silver, but also of wood and clay, some for honor and some for dishonor. Foundation is also there. What I said about the solid foundation of God. Foundation is also of God. What is the house? The whole thing. The foundation and God's, the society, the city and the hill. City and the hill. That's why He says there are vessels unto honor and vessels unto dishonor. He says this whole thing, I say, is my house. House of Israel, house of Judah, house of Sri Lanka, house of Germany, house of Britain. And who must call it into order? The church. That's our calling. That's the authority we need to get. And our Father who art in heaven. The moment you say who art in heaven, He is omniscient, He is omnipotent, all dominion and majesty belongs to Him. So all the Kalbagani and everything that goes on, we have to call it to order with our prayers. So in this house, obviously the vessels unto honor have to be we who are praying. What are we supposed to do to the vessels unto dishonor? It is there. Sorry if I raise my voice too much. 2 Timothy 2. But in a great house, 2:20. In a great house, there are not only vessels of gold and silver, but also wood and clay, some for honor and some for dishonor. Therefore, if anyone cleanses himself from the latter, he will be a vessel for honor. So when there are vessels of dishonor, first step is we do heavier, sanctify ourselves in the field we are in. There are chaps who are asking for bribes, vessels of dishonor. But we have to do our vessel business, the work, the livelihood, the professional field, everything. We have to do it as honorable vessels. So we have to first cleanse, separate ourselves from the vessels of dishonor. Step number 2. Step number 1. Step number 2, sanctify the unclean vessel. That's the Christian's task. This man does not know Christ. He's corrupt. Are you listening? Instead, what does the Christian do? He takes a stick and says, useless fellow, you're an idiot. I don't know why I voted for you. Idiot. What is this? Got the point? Separate yourself. We have no party colors. Separate yourself from the dishonorable vessels. God says dishonorable. Cleanse yourself. We will have feelings like that. Business-wise, politics, whatever. We sanctify ourselves. Then our next business is turn this to be a vessel of honor. Pray. If you have access, go and witness to me. Isn't it? Do you get the point? God considers them all vessels. And if this vessel is resistant, God knows what to do, I'll show what happens. But God's first curriculum is, Christian, you sanctify yourself. And most of the time, I'll say 90% of the time, this vessel remains unclean because the Christian is not doing what he should be doing. He's sitting in the seat of the scornful and saying the same scornful things. He's standing in the way of sinners. He's listening to ungodly counsel. If we, blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the ungodly, does not stand in the way of sinners, he does not sit in the seat of the scornful, but he is exercising the tree of life. He shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, his leaf shall not wither. So that politics get acrimonious, we don't wither. Our leaf just stand the same. We are green as ever. Chlorophyll. Our leaf shall not wither. And in every fruit, in every season, we have new fruit. This changes. I have a real passion that wicked people, worldly people can change if we keep the under of our vessel. This is transformation. Transformation happens by one person at a time. It's influenced by our salt. Sees the light by our light. Isn't that change? Once upon a time, who were we? We were without Christ. Someone shone the light. Tony Seniguratna suffered my arrogance, conceit, condescending questions, nasty questions for 7 months till I checked. He didn't do it. He comes to our home twice a week or so, till 3 o'clock in the morning. He was playing chess with me. I had finished A level. I had just spent. And so I had only 2 pursuits at that time, chess and nuclear pursuit. So I had a lot of time. I finished my exam. He wouldn't let go. He was not intimidated. He has only passed grade 8. But he had a passion as he could do. Brilliant brain. Playing chess. And asking my nasty questions. And I remember the day I prayed the Lord's Prayer, 46 4th Dharma Road, YFC office, 2 in the afternoon. I remember what I was wearing. He taught me, I did not know to pray. He said, pray like this. I prayed, said, Christ coming to my heart. Christ came to my heart. I changed instantly. As I prayed that, I phoned Hiranti and I said, I'm sorry, we had a good meeting. I said, I don't know what I did. I had 4 nice girlfriends. Someone did you know I had 4 nice girlfriends? You heard this before? Chemistry, physics, botany, and zoology. So I was saying, I don't know why I have done. So that day I apologized, but that's that. But Christ came into my heart. Okay? Let your light shine. This vessel can change. So we take this hope for all the nasty things that are going on. Those vessels can change. If they don't change, this is what's going to happen. Revelation 2. So we have a hope for the large house because the foundation is on God. Now we must hold on to the foundation, and those who are in the professions, in law and whatnot, keep the foundations, practice their law lawfully, practice their medicine lawfully, practice their banking as the Christian should. God uses us to keep the foundations. So righteous don't lament in the New Testament saying no foundation. We become the foundation. We become the foundation. That's our core, isn't it? So erosion will not happen. You know, when the foundation erode, whole house begins to crack. That's what we see in the Bible. But at that time, we decide to lay down our life. We lay down our prejudices. We lay down our time, energy, and effort. And our prayers fall into it. If we could do it during Prabhakara's darkest days, why can't we do it now? When you remember, suicide bombers used to go off any time in Colombo. You remember? Our children are not safe. Once I was in the faculty, Ragama faculty, I was speaking to the professor of genomes, so I was witnessing to it. The Lord said, if you are going to Colombo, go now. So I said, why? No, if you are going, go now. So I had to immediately go anyway. So I came off. I was driving the small town bus. I drove, came through, and coming from Ragama, Paddy Buddha, came to Maradana Junction, railway station, turned into Dean's Road, and I felt rear of the vehicle. Little shaking, rear of the vehicle, and a boom. Then in the mirror I saw, as I had 110 died. I passed it 4 minutes. God can keep us safe. So we have gone through such times, and we have prayed through the life of Roshan. 7 pistol gangs were after. One lady was trying to infiltrate our church with a pistol in the Bible. So then I told him, so you can't go to that place you every week go. And he said, that's my church. Then I said, do you know this pastor? He said, yes, Dr. Lalith is my pastor. Are you sure he's safe? He said, of course, from 1995 he's my pastor. No, why we are asking if there's a plan to infiltrate the place, LTT, Lady Pistol and Carter with a pistol with the Bible. So that's the